Just stupid idiota! What is wrong with them? Just because we are straight does not mean we are nothing.
People are weird.
It's not just
I
people.
I know. Let's talk.
And with that, she actually takes off her mask for you to see her face. And she has amber eyes with three scars, one down her eye, one across her forehead, and one down her lip. You are not from Eisen, correct?
No, I'm vested.
I don't know where that is from.
North.
Uh, what do you know about Vadachi?
What would I know?
The Vidachi are in many ways sort of the biggest rivals the Vendel have. They're like a rival merchant nation in a lot of ways. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
The Vestin really haven't often preyed on Vidachi because they're literally on the other side of the map as far as the Vestin are concerned.
I tell you what I do know. Um,
So nothing about the women and our culture, no?
no,
To Strega women, we don't know. I do not know how to read, even my own language. I do not know how to write my own language. We are not taught it. It is not appropriate for a Strega to know. And yet, we are to be almost how do you say in Eisen, like a business. We are treated like we are a tool to be used by any man.
Mm.
So the fact that somebody who is, as they say, so great and wonderful, and because he is in charge, see, he should know better than to treat his own daughter like she is just a tool. And yet, all she is, all women are, especially Verdechi women, are tools. We make deals for men in back rooms. We, and even in her case, is she makes children. That is it. That is all she's important for. It just
to
not
produce an heir.
see.
She says struggling in Eisen. Um, but she vaguely knows the words that put it together. I haven't experienced anything like that, but that's not how things should be.
That is how it is in Vodachi. And even across the world. They look at us, they see a Vodachi, they expect someone to be lying and cheating and mischievous and cruel behind your back. So, and she grabs back her mask. If they expect a fox, why not be fox? No?
You see, is there a way we can help?
Senora asked for her husband back, see?
Yes.
We bring her husband back. Please do not tell others. And she kind of motions to When people see Strega, they expect they're stupid. It's easier they believe I am stupid.
No, I don't think you should let them. You are diminishing yourself for an image. That's bullshit.
An image most expect. You heard, I believe his name was Arthur. Didn't even talk to us all that much and immediately thought we were all stupid.
Prove you're not. You're not. You can speak Eisen perfect. I wish I could.
I have been here for a while. And it's not perfect by any means. But
I've been here for 4 years and this is all I know.
I can teach you. I may not know how, I cannot read or write, but I can teach you Eisen.
I also can't read or write, so I can get help in other departments. But they should know.
I will try.
You're smarter than they think, and they need to know. Okay?
Okay.
Also, I don't have a lot of experience around people that aren't in my immediate circle, so I can't promise that it won't slip my mouth. So it's better if they hear it from you.
See, you are right.
It's better to tell the truth than them find out that
See,
you've been hiding it.
in Vodachi, when you lie, it is okay. The other person was too stupid to know. But being an Eisen, it's not that way. I have seen others hurt from lies.
I won't let that happen. You've seen what I can do. They try to hurt you, they won't get to you.
Grazie.
She's gonna like put her hand on your shoulder, kind of as like a precursor to seeing if you want a hug.
She kind of, it's very awkward for her because hugs are very weird, if I remember for Vodachi.
There's not a lot of physical showing of intimacy.
Yeah.
What would that also be similar in Runa's case?
Not at all. Vesten
No?
have no problem showing
Right,
their
yeah.
affection physically. It's
She just hasn't had a hug in a while.
sometimes it's like aggressive, you know, like the
Runa
back
hasn't had
thumping
a
is
hug in a
extreme.
while. Oh.
And it's a very much like a, I don't know how to react in this moment.
But do you let her?
Like, if you go in for it, she'll let you, but it's going to be one of those, like, the freeze up and like, I don't know what to do with this.
She gives you a bear hug, so it's either go limp or it hurts.
Oh, it's limp then. It's the, oh, this is happening. Okay. This is happening.
So
It's clear to you that Runa hasn't had a hug in a bit, but once she notices that you're just like, she'll go, sorry.
Very different in Vodachi. But I can learn.
that seems like a perfect place for us to step in. So thanks you everyone, and welcome to the Shadow of the Wachtturm, a 7th Sea first edition Let's Play set in the great lawless city of Freeburg. Our art is courtesy of Hero Forge, first edition 7th Sea, and Be Funky. Our producer is the wise, hilarious, and creative steward of Dirty 20 Gaming, Kevin, and our lore master for the series is the beautiful and benevolent Syndra. Before we get started, I want to give a content warning. While the spirit of 7th Sea is swashbuckling adventure and shadowy intrigue, the story will deal with mature themes, including death, loss, suicide, and grief. Eisen, our setting, is recovering from a 30-year civil war over religious differences. It may get dark sometime, and there's no shame in bowing out if it's just not a place your head can go at the moment. So without further ado, I'm going to have our savvy swashbucklers introduce themselves, starting with those you've just heard from. I'll let you decide amongst yourself who's going first.
Shit.
This is one of those moments where you feel like you've duct taped their hand, like one hand to each other, and given the other hand a knife, and you're like, decide
know
amongst
what?
yourselves.
And
I'll
so
go
that happened
first.
so fast. Like I wasn't even
not-
paying attention.
I'm not eating anything.
That's why I need to go
I have
first.
a plate of snack beside me. I'll go first.
Okay.
No, we need,
Okay.
Yeah,
need to
even
go
you have
until
got
you
this.
eat something. That's how you signal your turn.
Shut up. Hi, I'm Ruth. You have found me here today as Runa. You can find also you can you can also find me here on Tuesdays as Exit, our resident fixer, and on Thursdays as our muscle mommy Desrai. Otherwise, you can sometimes find me in the Discord server. Hello, the English language doesn't know me. You can sometimes find me in our Discord server, but otherwise, kind of hard to find. I'm gonna pass it over to Sarah.
Yep. Hey y'all, my name is Sarah. I am here tonight as Rosa Nix, our wonderful Vadachi. And yes, this is actually the first character I'm playing who is purposely beautiful. Like she has stats in it. I'm happy.
Mechanically pretty.
Yeah. I am here on the Tuesday night game Carnage Heights as our resident corpo Magic, and I am the DM for the Fool's Gold campaign King's Pyrite. If you want to find me elsewhere, you can find me over on Tangor Productions working with the Scarred Adventurer on stuff and things that will come out eventually. I will put up the links. And I'm going to bop it over to Hans.
Oh, hello. My name is Rory. I'm here today playing the fun Eisen guy Hans. He's interesting. Just stick around and see what he's up to. Aside from this, I don't hang out in the Discord as much. I will admit I need to do better about that. Aside from that, I'm still in the process. For anyone who saw last week, still in the process of setting up everything to actually finally start streaming music stuff again. It's oh god, it's been a bit of a bear to set everything up, but hopefully, fingers crossed, either this Tuesday or this Wednesday, you'll see the first broadcast of don't have a number for it yet, but you'll see the first broadcast of The Basement with me. Fun kind of DJ radio show type thing I'm working on. Probably end up taking questions from chat or whoever eventually, setting up some fun gimmicks like that. And I may do some gaming on streams every now and then. It's still all kind of up in the air, but if you're interested, keep an eye out for it because it's fun. That's about it. I haven't been working on a ton of stuff besides work lately. So who deserves to go next? Ooh, I think I'm gonna throw this to Bat Kyle.
All right, over to Ruth. No, just kidding. Hey folks, this Bat Cow here. I am a menace at all times, in all places. You can find me on the Discord, posting unhinged food memes. You can find me one more time this Monday for the epilogue of Grave New World as everybody's favorite half-demon stoner oracle, Jacob. Oh, we actually have a future king. Then you can find me on Thursdays playing everybody's favorite. His blood pressure is over 9,000 and he's going to earthquake these bastards, Badge's Newth. He's probably going to earthquake them. I'm kind of looking forward to it. And then, of course, you can find me here on the right day, Sunday, playing Len Costin, the Usarian exiled shapeshifter, who he hasn't told anybody he can do that yet. And right now he keeps turning into a cat to watch over a nice old man who gave him some milk. So, that aside, let's toss it over to Scarred.
Hello, I am the Scarred Adventurer. When you don't see me here on Dirty 20 Gaming on Tuesdays as Red Death, on Thursdays as Lucas Alexander fucking Warcrest, and or here on Sundays as Arthur Wolf, you will find me working with Tango Productions. Essentially, pretty much that's all I do. I don't like social media. You can find me on our Discord if you really look for me, but it's not easy, even though I'm one of the mods. Anyways, I'm gonna pass this over to Bison.
That's me. Hi, I am Bison underscore Stonefist. Reminding myself where my camera is. I am a regular on this show and I practically live on the Discord. I'm here 3 nights a week. I guess 4 this week. Shout out to me just because. Um, tomorrow night I will be playing for the last time. Jack, not a cop, Aldridge on the Buffy the Vampire Slayer TTRPG Crave New World. It's been a slice. On Tuesday, I play catch up to all the people in the Cyberpunk Red game trying to write the damn thing. So I run that. I use the term very loosely. And then on Thursdays, I play Encino, the can't we just wait a little bit before we go all balls out on the attacking thing? The dragon, the Dragonborn Paladin Ranger. And yeah, that's all I got going. On to Kevin, who's not even there.
All right. Thank you
Great
very
introduction
much.
from Kevin. So excited about that.
All right. In the ancient days of Numa, the great storyteller and philosopher Ceres the Wiser once noted that an adventure can only begin in one of 3 ways: by death, by slur, or by letter. To begin without one of these incitements is folly, a debacle best described as an indiscretion, a dalliance, an escapade. But fear not. We begin tonight properly girded with a letter, the most seductive of the 3, and thus the most powerful. The letter in question is a letter that is folded and in the pocket of Gerard Saint-Germain, who has departed for the time from the tower, or from the city hall, but there is still conversation to be had as to what to do about said letter. His departure is with Wilma's blessing and the accompaniment of Zucker, her butler, who, with the instructions to take him to the paper mill, and to bring one, look up her name real quick, one Frida Kubek to the city hall. Those who are kind of overhearing, just mention it as like, have her bring the tools of her trade and come here and assure her that there will be a premium for her discretion in this matter. The city hall, the area that you're in is actually Wilma's personal office. It's relatively large, but it's not as large as a woman like of her respect within the city could command. It's got, like a large central table with chairs around it. And then most of the walls are covered with books. Most of them are not books that are just for like the joy of reading. They're like various records and histories and the like that, things that might be of important reference. So.
Well, we have delivered the letter. I would say for this is possibly the only thing that may turn him from his course, if you can find him. I will admit, Usaria has made many attempts to assassinate him because we have been unable to stop him any other way, as dishonorable as it is, and thus he hides very well among his men, and this letter can go to no one but him.
Wilma says, I think the name at the top of it, the Gabriel, is some sort of reference that the two of each other will recognize. I'm curious as to its origin, but I am not often of the time to go see plays.
Well, that does give it a better chance, but it will take time to find even where he is, to get the message to someone who will actually pass it along, and for it to finally reach him and be acted upon. And I cannot help. I cannot guide anyone. I've sworn an oath never to return.
It is
All right.
interesting situation we find ourselves embroiled in today. I suppose it is best time we determine what we should do next. Whew.
I have no plans. I just showed up here to establish myself. It's
I plan on taking down that big giant thing in the city.
Or Wilma like raises an eyebrow and she says the Wachtturm.
Whatever it may be called, yes. I'm more of the mind that it needs to be taken down due to the fact that it is causing some damage to the fair folk of my place of residence.
It is just tower.
No, friend Gav, it is more than tower.
She kind of crosses her arms and she says, "It's not. This is City Hall, and while I've done my best to make sure that the servants that are here that are loyal, this place leaks like a thatch roof on a rainy day."
Are we back in the room?
Are you coming back in now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Runa and a freshly squeezed Rosa?
Really, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like she just has just enough muscle back for it to have maybe hurt a little.
Wilma will kind of nod her head as you return.
Could I have heard the last part of this conversation from behind the door?
Sure.
Could the issue with the tower have anything to do with the man that you saw in the tower and the man that I saw in my vision?
It's very possible. She says, "Can I suggest we forestall further discussion until we move to a safer place?"
Indeed.
She says, "My suggestion is actually atop the tower."
Okay.
So we
She
all go
says,
to the
"But
top
it-"
of the tower.
She says, "But it will take some trust on your part." She says, "And for those who are uncomfortable with it," she says, "there is a sorceress means to get quickly to the top."
It is a lot of stairs, yeah?
So many stairs.
I could
Ah, good.
I could
Need a
use the
little bit of
workout.
exercise.
I would not mind seeing the tower. So
She says,
the inside for once.
"Let's
A friend
make
of
sure that
mine
we
from
have
way back
everything
had a-
here, and I will leave a message for Zucker." And she kind of writes out a little message to him and just like sets it on the table of like, when you and Frida arrive, we're at the tower.
A friend way back that used to always say, "Never skip leg day." Never knew what it meant. Never skipped it though.
She like catches, like, she gets a few things out of her desk that look just like kind of small snacks, like cheese, wine, some bread.
Cheese. Sorry.
The desk cheese.
Everyone needs a good desk cheese. I don't know about you, but I've got a Manchego right here. Yep.
It looks like it might hours ago have been meant to be like the cheese that went with lunch, but like it looks like she never got the lunch. So
That's fair. Too busy.
Because there's also some like super cold soup
Oh,
that
yeah.
she just leaves there.
Stash it for later. Yeah.
So and the bread just seems to be like a break in case of emergency bread. So but it is like a large enough roll to like share and stuff. So,
Right, because it'll take an emergency to break it.
the and head out of the city hall. You know, it looks like most of the petitioners have gone home for the day and stuff like that, but there's still plenty of like noble persons that are quartered there. Most visiting nobles who are there on official city business stay at City Hall, and most of them who just want an excuse to come to Freeburg and not have to worry about laws also stay there. The tower itself is several hundred feet, and it's like needle thin by comparison to most modern architecture. Does that make sense? Like for that to attain that height for modern architecture would probably be impossible, but it looks like it's almost like one giant rib that just extends up into the sky. There are two guards at the base of it. They're both city guards who are wearing like the dual panzer hands of the Loring style, and actively wearing them, as in like if you're not on the list, you don't come in these doors. And Wilma passes within, and there's exactly like two things at the base of the tower. One of them is a portal that's been made out of stone, like that, like sits upright. Does that make sense? So it just looks like a rounded archway, and as you approach, Wilma kind of like, if everybody would like to take the slow way, and she gestures to the other side, which is like a spiral staircase that when you look up is literally vertigo and dizziness inducing. Because think of super thin tower with nothing but a spiral staircase going upwards for like 30, 40 floors.
Runa is hesitant to enter the tower because as she is looking up at the tower, she is seeing it crack.
There's for both of the people who are magically capable, or all three of the people who are magically capable, just being near this, there is a definite like feeling that something is. I don't want to say amiss. Does that make sense? It's more like the feeling that you get when you're close to like a generator or something that's putting off like a large amount of like um, electromagnetic radiation or something like that. Like there's sort of a buzz in the air.
Do I feel kind of
Does
sparky?
that- you can say it manifests however you want. It might be like for Rosa, it might be things kind of like at the edge of her vision, or her eyes kind of feeling like they can't quite contract or dilate.
No, it's just
Everybody who has sorcery feels a certain um, reverberation, is the best way to put it.
I'd say if it feels like electricity, Runa's probably feeling that in her body, similarly to how her body feels when she calls lightning.
Do you mind giving me a little bit of leeway with that then? Like
Absolutely.
those of you who are kind of near, as like Runa passes through it, you can actually see every single carving that she's done in her body starts to like glow within for like little arcs of lightning, and then like seems to calm back down.
I'm so glad I agreed.
That
For Len,
looks
it
fascinating.
Are
really
you
does.
okay, Sparky?
The building has an energy to it.
It does. I do not like it.
Would I have noticed? I probably would have noticed my runes light up because there are multiple
Yeah,
visible in like my eyes range.
yeah. Um,
Rose is
for
so glad she has her mask on.
Len is kind of puffed up a little, like an animal who's been
Just like
who feels uncertain. Just kind of. I mean, he's already a big guy. He just kind of
He does the kitten pose.
not quite the startled kitten pose, nor the fainting goat pose, but just more of the
bear unsure.
yeah. This is not my territory, and it feels wrong.
Yeah, and
So-
Rose is just probably following in last because
Runa
she's
would
just
probably be second
not
to
happy.
last.
You're right, lasses. Seem a little more on edge than I would be.
Wilma,
A weird energy.
Yeah.
Wilma moves up to the portal that's like looks just like a freestanding stone door. And she says, before I trigger this mechanism, she says, you should know that you need to close your eyes when entering this place and don't open them until you're through.
Okay.
She says, I also understand that you shouldn't have any mirrors on your person, even small ones.
Does that count for reflective surfaces?
I would not mess around with it if you think
a
it
dagger?
qualifies.
He starts like taking off his buttons. They're silver and shiny. Like, what else is he gonna do with them?
There's a coat hook like nearby. So she's like, I don't know if those are. I think it has to be a slightly larger surface than that. And I know that
She
there have
pulls
been
out her
swords that have gone
dagger.
up and down and have never caused a problem.
She
So-
resheaths.
Ah, all right.
Okay, so I can. Rosa was worried about her mask.
I think it genuinely needs some sort of glass in the construction or silver.
With the silver on the backing.
Um,
So
she
they
says, and no animals.
No,
Len's like,
no spiders.
She shakes her head.
Why would you have a spider?
Oh. So, Rosa will finally introduce you guys.
New character, let's go.
As she reaches into her bag and pulls out her spider. And she goes, oh, okay, go Ocho. And sends Ocho up the stairs.
Yeah, it kind of like looks up the massive staircase and just kind of like goes under the stair on the lowest level and starts to like make a little whip to like hang out there.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'm asking only because I didn't ask about this before. It's just more just a. I'd like to just very carefully take out a little mouse and go, I'm sorry, Cheezers. It's been a nice ride. Just leave him. Goodbye, friend.
No, Len is gonna close his eyes and just sort of walk through whatever.
She's like, it's not active yet. Just
Oh.
Boom.
That's what Gab just walks right under through the arch.
Bruna will do a leg day on the way down, but the way her body feels right now, it's like a if I can't go up the stairs as fast as I feel I can, ain't gonna work out for me.
I can't
So
run down.
the staircase is on the left, and then the portal is on the right. Like the staircase actually curves up and around it. The portal is just, like you pass through and then you just kind of can come back around it. But she takes a hairpin and she plunges it into her finger and she waits until it spills on the dais that the portal is on, and like it looks like a puddle of blood except suspended between the arc of the portal.
Oh.
This will feel familiar. Then Len's gonna close his eyes and just walk through the portal.
Yeah, and Wilmot follows after. It's compared to the journey that Gerard took, this is literally like a second or two. The difference is, it's like there is an amount of air pressure that changes between the bottom and the top of the tower. You know what I'm saying? And going there instantly makes you kind of like more aware of it. Also, it's a lot colder.
Bruna's climbed a mountain.
Yeah. I'm just like saying it's like a
Yeah.
noticeable thing. Like you can there's this period where you're in what feels like a watery space, except everything smells like copper. And then you're through it and you're, in the colder area. It's like a small area that's just under the very top of the tower. And you can hear the wind whistling through the door.
When Gav comes out, he's got his meat hand over his face, and his Cernith hand is doing this.
And Len will just be like,
you're
okay,
alright.
easy friend, you're here.
Oh, who is following behind Gav?
I guess I will.
Okay. So Gav has this like hand that's made out of like a red metal that is not anything that you've seen before. Does that make sense? And like the tips of it look like tapered. And when you're looking at it, like sometimes it looks like it has 3 fingers, sometimes it looks like it has 4. There's a moment when he comes out from the portal that hand looks like it's in 3 places at once. Does that make sense? And then it sort of snaps back to singularity.
Okay.
Whoa.
And Gav has his eyes closed and doesn't see it.
But that
I do
explains
share
why
his
Gav is really bad at math.
I will tell Gav this and just. Did you know your hand does that? Neat.
Does what?
Oh,
He's
it does a thing where it snaps off into 3 and then it comes back into 1 and it stays that way.
No, he's just hand. 1, 2, 3.
Four.
1.
Four, friend Gab. Four.
4.
No, maths isn't my biggest thing either, so I understand.
Wilma kind of opens the door up to the top of the tower. Um, it's a beautiful view of like the whole of Freiburg. You know, one that you've never really seen from this high. Most of Freiburg is built on a fairly lower level, but like the things that really, really stand out from this height, the Drachen Cathedral can be seen to the northwest, made entirely out of like the bones of a Drachen. And then the Bone Bridge off to the east is the enormous fallen skeleton of a Draken that is so large it could never be moved, and it completely forms a working bridge over the river.
Whoa.
And we should be on the map of the city so you can kind of see in place where those things are.
Yep.
The other thing that is a lot easier to see from here, that's almost impossible to see from anywhere in the city, is the encampment of people around the city.
Looks so small from up here.
I believe I've ever seen a view of the city like this. Puts,
I see my house.
puts
Any
some things
points?
into perspective, for sure.
Me as Ruth just realized something anyway.
So is safe to talk here then?
It's very difficult to spy on anyone here.
Unless you are a bird.
Most people are not birds, friend Gav.
I like how you said most people there. That seems innocuous.
I have seen many things in my travels.
Bruna
So have
kind
I.
of just looks to Rosa, like, as in, like, suggesting that now may be a good time before we get into things
The little nudge.
to say something.
Wow. This is just.
Senora Wilma, you did say that if we get the letter to, and this is player blanking on the name, not character,
General Montague?
that it could be treason, correct?
This is an open conspiracy against Lemper.
Does not matter if the Emperor lies, murders his own subjects. Of course.
Says,
Always.
or murders the Hierophant and keeps 9 bishops held prisoners so that a new cardinal cannot be elected, and thus a new Hierophant cannot be elected.
Is much the same in my homeland. The Gaius is not who should be the Gaius. He has committed his share of murders to stay in power.
My land's very different.
Me. No, just kidding.
So is Vestin.
Individuaci.
I mean, and yeah, things are kind of strange everywhere as far as I've been able to pick up on.
I would be remiss if I did not mention, since we are speaking of warnings and conspiracies, that I was vaguely warned by a rather powerful personage that there's a darkness building in Eisen. A great darkness that could threaten all things in time.
It is probably in the sewers. There is much darkness there.
Ooh.
Different kind of darkness, friend Gav.
Are you sure? Dark
This
is
is a-
very dark.
Well, Gav,
darkness
the
of-
kind of darkness I'm used to when it comes to it is the one that hides in plain sight.
Wilma says, I think we have some of all of these darknesses here.
So what you're saying is we check the sewers and everywhere else.
She says, part of the reason I wanted to put together this council was to have eyes in all the places that I could not be. Says, but now it's very clear that we have an emergency before us.
Indeed.
She says, if this letter gets to General Montague, he will return, and Freeburg will be the closest friendly city that he can expect to resupply at.
Yes.
Would be,
It's-
And what does that mean?
She says, resupply means food. And as you can see, we already have problems with that.
An army does not care where the food comes from because an army has the most swords.
Welcome to the sewers. Plenty of sewer monsters.
She says, it's possible that we could get together enough food to supply them and be on their way. But if Montague loses, that will be cause for war with Montaigne.
Just finished this one.
So,
kidding.
The city
what's
does
the
not
best
seem-
course of action?
I think that's what we're here to decide.
I will say that even as an exiled Husaran, the idea of Montague turning around and getting the fuck out of my country is an appealing one. However, as a new resident of the city, the idea of it devolving into food riots and burning itself down is less attractive.
He says, not to mention, there's the part where what happens when Montague gets back to Montaigne.
Yes.
Indeed.
I do not suspect the Emperor will appreciate his greatest general returning against orders on the wishes of his youngest daughter and the bearer of his heir.
I have a question.
Hmm.
To activate our virtue for our arcana, does that cost a drama die?
Yes.
Balls. However, comma, I can do a thing that does the exact same thing, and I'm just gonna have to roll for it.
I believe their effects are slightly different if you read them.
Oh balls!
But that doesn't mean that this isn't a good time to potentially use them.
Whole lot of balls going on here.
The writing is so small. Okay,
I can read it if you want.
I don't know how I'd send it to you.
I have all the arcana up.
Oh, not the arcana. I'm looking at a rune now because I have a rune that kind of does the same or similar thing.
Okay.
Then we'll
With a
glance
successful
around and
check according to the rules for runes
ask,
that grant
what are
those
the chances of getting the princess to him at the front?
discretion may tap into
Wouldn't that be
the-
more potentially dangerous than anything else?
I-
So,
I mean,
I'm not certain that bringing a Montaigne princess into Sarah, especially while pregnant, will be anything but the death of the princess or her use as a hostage by this person
Okay,
you've described
yeah,
as
The-
it does
willing
seem
to murder her freely.
Yes, but the problem is, even if he leaves Usura and turns around and gets to the city, or gets to the Emperor, his wife and child are already in the hands of the Emperor.
And I feel like if I do this, I need to have a very specific. And the best question I have is, how do we navigate this?
I mean, it is.
How I do roll.
Please,
I-
sir, please help. How do we navigate this situation without
Oh,
Well, there
affecting
is
the least amount of lives? Avoiding the most conflict. Team, do we have any ideas?
Well, I mean,
'Cause I can
regicide is
do a
always an
thing.
option,
Hmm?
but
I could
usually a bad idea.
I could do something, but I don't know if it's good work.
there is possibility of third option. If Montague gets the letter, that is, he pushes even harder, conquers Usura, which I do not really want, but consolidates his hold, and then he has an entire country to pit against Le Emperor for his wife and child.
Did you just say
So just
emperor?
Wilma, Wilma will kind of, this is from a logistics perspective, that child will be well born before he could meaningfully bring an entire nation around to bear against Montaigne.
True. But if he realizes that the Emperor wants him dead, and that even with his current army, he may not be able to liberate his wife and child, he is a cunning man, and he
What?
plans very well.
Couldn't we just do a thing where we get rid of the wife and child? I don't mean in a way where we cause any real damage to anything. I mean in a way where we remove her from the equation and put her somewhere safe for her and her husband to be, and just to live out the rest of their lives happily.
I was going to say something quite similar. What if we were
The-
to try and move the princess to a alternate meeting point outside of potential
Not to the war zone, and
potential escalations?
But
not to let them there, to essentially have them meet in Freeburg.
wouldn't the issue
That could work.
wouldn't the
See,
issue be the heir?
Well,
That's true.
the biggest problem I see with that, though it is a good suggestion, is that the Emperor has an heir now, and he will unleash all of his resources to reacquire said heir. If
Yeah, that's only if he
Agreed.
thinks the heir is still alive.
What?
Perhaps.
I don't understand what you're saying. Then.
Rosa, you also know there's a problem with that idea as well, in that the Emperor is married to an ass-powerful Fate Witch and will not hesitate to use her magic to
Yeah.
find the heir.
Yeah.
I mean,
You don't want to do that. If a true Master Strega can do things you cannot believe.
all right. I was just thinking kind of like a changeling situation where you take one in the middle of the night and then swap it.
so is there any Rosa, is there any way or any circumstance or universe where anything we do could get around her?
See, but I am not powerful enough.
What do we need?
I cannot cut the strings of fate yet. All I can do is look at them.
I see.
Well, I have no idea what that actually means. Could you just connect them to some other things, though?
It's
See,
beyond me.
you can when you are Master Strega, you are able to connect the lines of fate in any way you like.
which is what the Emperor's wife is, and you are not currently.
See, she is a master and I am not.
So even if we tried the old switcheroo, as it is called in the old country, that is a different word, but you would not understand.
I might
One
just
look.
let me just interject something real quick. So you're having a discussion about things that Strega might or may not be able to do, and I would just like to remind as a plot element, there is a diary of the most powerful Strega who ever lived in this city right now.
Oh.
Yes. I know Rosa knows this information, but she's so scared of even getting near that book.
And Len is just saying that it is undoubted that the Emperor's wife would be around the child, and one look at the child, unless we can get to it before the Emperor ever sees it, then she will
Well,
know
then-
that fate has changed.
Last question I've got then. Can
No.
you even can you actually remove Astrega's abilities?
Is that
I
what's
believe a knife to the heart does.
I mean, besides that, in a
Oh.
way that they don't realize that they've been entirely duped until it's too late.
That I have no idea.
No, not that I know of, but there is a book that might tell us.
Ooh, I love reading. Wait, what language is it in?
Vadachi.
But translate it for us.
I can't read my own language.
Can we reverse that, because that is information I knew.
Absolutely. Retcon.
Is there someone who could translate it for us?
Senora Prost. She speaks Vadachi, and I believe she knows how to write and read it.
I do.
Could we look into that?
This is above board. This is the witch I'm thinking of, right? The one who went on a rampage.
This is the witch who accidentally sunk an entire island off the coast of Vadachi, which her family's holdings is on, into a vortex of blackness from which it was never seen again. And that particular part of the sea is like avoided by all sailors.
Okay.
Mondays, right?
Nobody knows what exactly she was intending to do, or even how her diary managed to avoid all of that, because her diary still exists, and everything else that was like associated with the Lorenzo family is gone.
It might help.
Sounds worth looking into. For my
It
own
seems
part,
like that would be our best course of action.
my own part, for whatever it is worth, I do not like the idea of hiding a man's child from him. Hiding the knowledge of a man's child from him, even for the greater good.
I feel any course of action has its downsides.
It does.
Everything has consequences.
I do not think I can weigh in on give the letter or not give the letter. I am biased in that it is the best chance my country has to not be conquered.
With the letter.
If he turns around to come through here and then go challenge the emperor, he gets out of my country, he gets away from my capital. My country has time to rebuild and reinforce, and he will not likely have that chance again.
Ah, yes, the letter. Where is it?
Already gone.
We have it.
It's in the
Wilma
keeping.
had it.
I thought it went into what's his name's who left with the butler.
Gerard.
Yeah.
Gerard,
Yeah.
So we
Yes.
don't have it anymore.
So I feel like that point about the letter is a little moot, isn't it?
See,
I don't believe that the gentleman in question is going to be taking the letter anywhere on his own.
Does he answer to someone he is going to ask about it?
He does have some loyalties to someone, but that person is to my knowledge, not loyal to the Emperor.
Well, it makes it more likely what is going to happen. It may not be a bad idea to start putting in those food stores now.
She says, the person I have asked to come here as an expert forger.
Right.
One who will be able to take the handwriting, the kind of letter, even the seal on it, and replicate all of it.
Even the soulbind that was on it.
We don't know about that, and probably not. Can you replicate that?
Rosa can't yet, right?
Has never seen anything like that done before, actually.
Yeah. Not yet, no. I still need to learn.
Says, do you think those who have been following this particular letter are aware of that binding?
Possibly. I don't know if there is a Strega involved. It's possible.
Well, we'll just have to press on as best we can about it. Says the original letter and the facsimile that we will make of it will both lack this binding.
All right. I do have a question about the tower we're standing in, though. This is the thing that's affecting my people, right?
This is a tower made entirely of broken bone.
Seems the tower affects a lot of things.
So how would I get it? I understand war is inevitable with things and so on and so forth. I'm also interested in my own interests as well. I just like to know, how do I get it to stop being in such a way where it affects my faith, or it affects my fae for rich people.
To my understanding, she says the Fae are mostly in Avalon, yes?
They're everywhere, man. They're
Actually,
everywhere.
that's not widely believed.
They're in Avalon, or
Well, they're in Avalon and Innismore and Highlands Marches, but like it's very rare for them to travel outside of that area. Does that make sense?
I mean, we do travel. They do travel. We don't. I don't travel. Hello? Not one of them. That's not me trying to hide something. I slipped up. I said the wrong word. Whoops.
She says, as for destroying this tower, she says, do you see the bridge down there? She says the one of dragon bone and ribs, and she says it extends over the water.
Yes.
She reaches into her coat and she takes out, it's like, do you know the little like opera glasses that are designed to they're like very small telescope binoculars? Does that make sense? They're designed to like give you like a front range, like look. She kind of like hands you one. She's like, look down near the bases that are on either side of the water.
All right.
So when you do, it takes a little bit to find it, a little distracted by a dog that's like chasing after a kid at one point.
Well, that's obviously what I would be more distracted by. I go, ooh, I hope he gets him. And got him. Excellent. Okay, now back to that bridge.
The near,
it's not even like in character
on
for
both
the characters.
sides.
It's in character for me.
Yeah, on both sides there are like black smudges that are down near the water line. They don't look like they've deformed the bone at all, but they look like something sort of like on the outside of it. She says, and she's describing these marks. She's like, can you see them?
Yeah, for the most part.
She says, during the War of the Cross, General Wolfe spent 2 weeks shelling that bridge with the largest mortars that he could. And those are the only marks that remain of it.
So there goes the saw plan. Uncle Jack's not going to... I can't use Uncle Jack's method where he dealt with that giant.
By every standard we've known of chemistry, of aggression and assault, she says, cannons, weapons, she says, Drakenbone is indestructible.
Has anyone ever tried asking it nicely?
I would reason probably at some point.
Okay, well, I'm just suggesting if all the hard methods aren't working, it's got to be a soft method, isn't it?
I don't even think the iron that bears its name does anything. Not that I've seen.
If you wish to consult with the Explorer Society, they might have more idea. They have a bit more expertise where these matters are concerned.
And I'll work that out later. And last bit of full disclosure, you don't all mind if I report all this back to Elaine, do you?
What
To who?
Elaine? Who,
Who
who's
is
this
My
guy?
queen.
this?
what what would that entail?
Oh no, pretty much literally writing down the information that we've learned today and the stuff that I've gone over and just writing it up in my little notebook and then sending it off as a letter.
Uh,
What
telling-
assistance do you think she might offer?
Assistance.
See.
I've never asked her for help before. I've just asked her to cover my bills. Who's
I
to say?
do not think that she necessarily needs to know about the letter, for
Well,
example.
she sort of needs. Well, I sort of tell her everything. It's like writing in a journal or a diary, and it's like, how do I explain it?
How do you know
It's
she
like
knows
praying.
how
You
to
never feel
read?
it love you back, but you love it just the same.
What did Gav say?
How do you know she knows how to read? Maybe
Well,
that's
she's
why
the
she
queen of-
doesn't write back.
Well, she's the queen of my entire kingdom, so probably someone reads it along the way of somewhere, something.
Again,
I'm assuming she can read.
I think even rumors of the letter reaching another country, especially the ruling class of another country, could kick things off even worse than just delivering the letter might do.
Well, that is a crock of shite. Starts
So
ripping
you-
up the letter that he's been working on.
It's like, so you 200% believe that she would not in any way let that information get out to anyone or use it in any way for the betterment of her country. Or
Oh, I
just,
can't say that for any certainty. I
Oh,
just
well
know
then.
that I'm supposed to report things.
and you do everything you are supposed to do.
Well, I made an agreement, and I am as good as my word.
Whoop, goodbye. Over there. No, just kidding. Gav, help me here.
Not again.
No, no,
That's the
no.
second
Rose
time
is like
this week.
Rosa would be like totally like bet. Let's throw him off the tower.
This
It's
is
just
like
Wilma-
above board. He reports everything to Elaine, and he's telling you this. This is just
Wilma like holds up a
what he
hand. She
does.
says, "This letter is the kind of thing that part of the reason I came up here is because I'm certain it has already been overheard, and there are already spies that are being reported to. I can only pay a servant so much of a salary," she says, "and that's nothing compared to the interests of a noble who wants to know what they want to know. We should plan as though knowledge of this letter will inevitably get out."
Ah, good. So I am not in trouble for having sent those letters already.
That's not already.
I she just kind of smirked, knowing that there's no way that he could have sent off letters already. But
No, I meant about the other things. This stuff that we're talking about exactly this moment hasn't been sent yet. But you know, all the other stuff, like how I got here, what my day was like, what I had for breakfast that morning, you know, all that stuff.
No wonder she
Um,
does not read.
I report everything. She asked, and it is what we do.
Says, if we are intending to make sure this letter gets to Montague, then we need to make arrangements for when Montague gets to Freeburg. Says, if we don't want this letter getting to Montague, then we might have to deal with a different aftermath of what happens in Usura and the fallout from that. That might mean refugees coming over the border. That might mean
Which would
it's
be
hard to
even
say
harder
exactly.
on your
That
city
might
of
mean-
Freeburg.
He has too many mouths already. We do not need army.
You can
That
see
might
the
mean
despair
another-
from here.
Yeah, another army comes through to Gusura while it is off balance and war torn, and suddenly the Emperor kills two birds with one stone.
That
She
doesn't
says-
sound ideal.
Here is my secondary concern. Says, if an army is spotted, especially a Montaigne army, moving through Eisen lands, we have neighbors who will most certainly take note. The lands around Freeburg, which are constituted as Freeburg, are very small compared to the lands of the other Iron Princes. Says they may choose to view it as an invading force. I am not personally familiar with Fawn or Posen, only by reputation, and her reputation suggests that she does not back down from any threat.
Indeed. Posen,
Well,
if Posen gets word, we are fucked.
Well, then it would make sense actually to send it to Elaine a bit.
That's
Just-
the way to put it.
I mean, just to report back to Avalon and just let them know that what's going on, so that we have our side of the story out before everything else gets out. And knowledge is, in such a way, an informational war of its own.
As I was saying, stocking up food right now as much as possible is good for many reasons. If army does not come, food problems may be solved in city.
We have
Could finally feed the despair.
we absolutely need more food imported to the city. Eisen as a whole has been suffering shortage after shortage each year, worse than the last.
Nobody liked Lario's sewer monster surprise. There's plenty of food underground.
What is
Oh, you're not picky.
monster surprise?
It requires a lot of oil. You fry
Imagine.
it, preferably once it is dead, but sometimes you don't get that choice.
She looks over at Runa, just like
Sewer monster burgers.
Here's
The,
Wilma
society.
kind of
Here's the worst of what you guys have experienced. Gav down here.
Wilma kind of like I have heard rumors that there's a restaurant in the city that serves kobold, so it does not surprise me.
Where is this place? And do you have any recommendations for wine pairings or drink
She
pairings?
just laughs and she's like, "You'll have to tell me. I've never tried it." But speaking of, and she kind of sets down the basket that she's been holding and starts to,
Speaking of,
cut
I'm
bread,
no longer hungry.
cut
I'm
cheese.
sorry. I'm sorry, Wilma. I meant to whisper that to Gav. Gav, where is this place? And do they have wine pairings?
I don't think what they sell can be considered anything but straight fire.
Um,
Why?
Sounds wonderful. We have to go.
there's like only
Yeah.
one wine glass in the basket. Like everything else is sort of different collected tea mugs, but she's still kind of pouring wine out to them, handing it
Oh.
around.
Cute.
Uh, yeah, in because
Runa
as
finishes
an
hers
able
too
drinker,
quick.
I'm always prepared for a drinking scenario. I just have it in my thing. Do you need extra wine glasses? Go. These ones. We've got the long stems. We've got the champagne flutes. We've got the.
Yeah, she'll take whatever. I'm frightened to consider what they're actually made out of because they're probably not glass with the regular things that Arthur goes through. But
No, they all look like they're tin.
yeah, is no objection.
So there is the occasional clay one, but it's mostly tin.
All right. So it seems that we're in agreement that the letter should go to Montague.
Yes,
Indeed.
See,
that sounds
Absolutely.
like the best course of action.
As much as I fear the target it would put on our backs, it seems like the lesser of the available evils.
None of the options that we have are ideal. All of them come with some sort of consequence. This seems like the least.
Indeed. I fear another war. I will
A,
be honest, the thought of it terrifies me.
yes, I left the war a year ago. I do not wish to be in another, but a thought occurs to me. If the masked people we fought wanted the letter that bad, that likely means they knew what was in the letter or suspected. And one wonders if they may be working for the Emperor.
Emperor.
They at least knew
Oh.
who wrote it and potentially who it was intended for.
Then the
And
Emperor has bad choice in henchmen. They folded like candles.
And swung like a bat.
My left kidney would disagree with the folded part.
What the
It's better now, but that still hurt a lot. They put up
You
a
have to.
decent
You
fight.
need your
It did.
kidneys.
But
That's what gets your liquor.
Yeah. Well, no, that's a different
That's
one.
the
I think.
liver.
What
Ah.
are you asking, Rosa?
And why do my
Since
kidneys
the-
fail sometimes?
plan since the plan is to give to Montague. See?
Hmm.
Yes.
Then what safety does the mother have once the heir is born?
None. Once the heir is born, there's unfortunately, and please understand that I do not agree with this stance, but usually once the mother has born an heir, the mother is superfluous to requirements.
This is
At
if
best, a
Also,
hostage.
their apothecary is shite, then she's dead.
Montague
Our
does
expected
return at the head of an army, that likely means war in Montaigne, and likely the necessity for success, at least from Montague's point of view, will be the emperor himself being dead. In which case, the heir would be the rightful emperor, and would be, in normal circumstances, raised by regents who would rule in his stead until he was old enough to rule himself.
That would probably be Montague himself
And his wife.
and his wife if she survives.
But
You
that
must
does not
understand.
remove the issue of
So, do we want to circle back to
emperor's
the idea
wife.
where we kidnap both the emperor's daughter, so that they're safe in a good place?
not with a fate which involved.
There is a
If the heir is
different
born
version of that where another
and-
court offers them sanctuary.
Arthur, you said you are part of court that could do that.
Oh
See?
yeah, I'm a knight of Elaine. Just shows everyone his little tiny badge.
I see them sell those for children down in the market. Little toy
Yeah, but
shields.
the difference is that the official ones have a stamp on the back of them.
Oh yes, other ones do not have stamp.
The
A decoder ring.
could you ask then?
Absolutely. Whether or not she'll
I've-
say yes is an entirely different thing. But I've given a lot of information before, and I've done a lot of weird things. And also, Uncle Jack is well known in the court, so he might be able to get a string pulled or two.
I would say one of the least likely places the Emperor could easily assault would be the Isles of Avalon.
I remember the last time they tried to invade Innismore. Uncle Jack had such fun.
Could be the best refuge for them.
It's probably
So-
the best chance that she has.
That
It's
might
true.
be.
I wish it wasn't so.
We need a new
Such-
carrier animal to send us information. I let Cheesers go.
pretentious.
But the mouse.
Yes.
What is Cheezer spying?
His messenger rat.
Oh, he's a rat.
The messenger rat.
He just let him go. He went, "It's been a lovely time having time with you. Go home now."
Otto could do it. Maybe.
An octopus. Excellent.
Otto, my spider.
Octo. Oh, Octo, your spider.
Otto.
Lovely. Otto.
See.
I keep hearing a C somewhere. I thought you were talking about an octopus, and I thought that would be an interesting thing. That might get a little wet. But if your spider can do it, then that would be lovely. I just need to make sure that they know not to. We should send a carrier swan to begin with to make sure that they don't attack the spider.
I think we'll just send a courier with a ship.
Simplest answer.
If you want to be predictable about it, then yes.
Wilma kind of she looks thoughtful. She says, "There's a number of threads," she says, "that I think all deserve to be followed up on." She says, "One is the identities of the assassins and how they could possibly have acquired the information about the letter before the courier arrived. There was an ambush in wait, was there not? From your descriptions?"
You said that he was injured when he.
The
reached
man,
you.
yes, I'm forgetting his name already. The man who gave me the coat and told me to bring it to Upman he had been attacked previously and was already injured before he even got my attention. But
Has
as
anyone-
soon as I had the coat, they immediately followed me. 'Cause they were nearby.
If there was a body that was dropped within the dragon's nest, then the captain of the guard there may have more information about it.
Check with
We
him.
searched that body, Gav and I. That's how we found the other letter.
He is
Whoever
he is
he
saying that
was,
Hans is saying that he was already injured at the time that Hans first saw him.
yes.
There was killed. I mean, you said when you arrived, you saw them in the market. There was corpses and spent pistols.
Yes. Did he have any pistols on him that you could see when you
Oh,
met
no.
him? No. Well,
No,
there were easily a dozen pistols discharged into the faces of the assailants, the ambushers. That it does not sound like he carried naturally.
it's not naturally. That is for sure. As far as I remember, I saw him reach into thin air, a hole in the air. I don't know how to describe it. He reached forward and drew forth a pistol, and I saw him. He probably did it a few times before I was even out of the market.
Wilma says, does the hole in thin air look much like the one that we passed through to get to the top of this tower?
Yes, now that you mention it, it was quite similar, if I recall.
That is a common trick amongst Porte sorcerers to have some kind of space that they can prepare and leave objects.
Is that where they put the rabbit for the hat?
They don't pull rabbits through hats. The rabbits
No,
go
Gav.
insane.
Gav,
Like
I'm
what?
sorry to say this, but they don't do that. They just cut a hole in the top of the hat and a hole in the box underneath.
Wilma kind of she pinches her brow and she's like, I'm sorry. I can
Gav, I'm
be
so
a little
sorry.
literal sometimes.
But the trick is a fraud. That's why it's called a trick.
That's why you don't tell Gav that it's a trick. Look, he's
will
sad
have
now.
I will have to talk to street performer. Most definitely.
Runa pats Gav on the shoulder. It's
Wilma
okay,
just
buddy.
sort of offers him the last remaining slice of cheese.
Oh, jeez.
It's
All
like
better.
telling a child that
Completely
Santa
forgets
Claus
about
is not real. Ugh.
Yes, cheese makes everything better, including unspeakable horrors we've all witnessed. Arthur just looks off into the distance for like a few seconds and comes back. What? Hello? Yes.
Where'd you go?
Where do any of us go?
Home sometimes. To the theater.
Much debated.
To
Hello?
the bathroom?
I was thinking of going and getting a cappuccino after this. I find I rather enjoyed them.
Wilma,
You enjoyed the very small coffees?
Yes.
You seemed to.
It matches his small
Very
hands.
I realized that a small coffee is not enjoyable to my palate.
They're very strong. We have a phrase where we in this more
Wilma
up those coffees.
clears
for
her
you.
throat.
Um,
And she says, to the matter at hand.
Oh, right. Sorry.
And kind of
Sorry, miss.
shoots a look at Arthur.
Apologies. But
She says there were other threads to follow up on, were there not?
See,
She says there was the cult itself.
Indeed. Whatever kind of organization it might be, find someone who knows about them.
Secret society.
Yeah.
She says, there's been plenty enough cults in Freiburg. She says that I jump to conclusions when people start acting strangely.
Friend Coatmaker is obviously used to being some sort of information broker or long-standing agent or asset.
Some kind
He
of
sells coats, but many of his customers leave with socks and boxes and not coats.
He is well armed and has many secrets. I've watched his house these last few nights to make sure the cult did not come, the secret society does not come knocking with ill intent.
Oh,
How did you watch his house without being spotted?
I am very, very sneaky for my size.
I'd like you to teach me some things at some point.
Please. That is very,
That's
very
impressive.
cool.
We can
Cool.
talk after this.
Perhaps
Seems like a
it's-
cat's cut your tongue.
No, no
Um,
meta stuff. Off the tower.
He knows
Bruno
too much.
grabs. No, Bruno does like a bear hug to prevent.
Um,
Oh,
all right. The
perhaps-
well, what kind of is there anything else that we need to be looking into at this point?
The
people. Oh, sorry.
go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. Rosa, you go first.
The book of and she
The
didn't say that
diary.
before, but she is now. Of Lorenzo. We should look through it.
She says an artifact like that would be in the hands of the church.
I think another thing to look into, not as prevalent in this moment, would be that man.
She says, I have no idea how to begin looking for a man of the description that you mentioned.
I could try to find him. But I don't know how we'd find information.
If I have
Well, if you can find the man, information comes loosely from the lips of drunkards.
or
I could see where he is and ask around.
She says, if you think it's safe to do that.
I'm unsure, but I'm willing to try.
And
Especially if you saw
the
him
last time you
at-
spied on this person, he spied right back.
So you find him, I get him nice and liquored up.
However, the last time I saw him, and I didn't intentionally see him. He saw me. My concern is that
How
that
else
is
would you?
an ability he has.
How else would you see
He
someone
touched
without them being able to see
He
you?
touched me last time I saw him.
But if he is easy to follow, that does not mean his followers are not easy to follow.
I
Fine.
don't know who any of his followers would be. I saw him in the vision I had. It's a rite of passage.
Oh, he's not real then. Okay.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no, he's
That's not
real.
gonna help either.
it's
Miss Probst saw him the day
She says
that
that
the Iron Prince took a long jump off the tower. Correct?
that's correct. She says a man, the same description as what Runa described. He was speaking to Trog before Trog threw himself off the tower.
I wonder if he was pushed.
No, I know he wasn't.
Perhaps we should speak to
What Ruth realized earlier isn't a thing.
what was his name again? So Frau Probst, what was the name of the companion to Trock in his time in the tower? The one who took notes
Logan.
of his. Yes.
Logan
Yes, we
had
should.
books of every rambling of every drunken thing that came out of Trog's mouth. So if someone wants to look through his books, you just have to convince him of the worth of doing so.
We need to
That-
look through a man's books who likes to write every drunken thing down.
I think that
You could
that would
relate.
be a good place to start in
I think
that position.
indeed. I think that is a good place to start. And one other thing has occurred to me. The masks these people were wearing were rather improvised and somewhat they were not as high quality craftsmanship. There could be some a newer person in theater in the town, and we now have friends in our own theater there. Perhaps we can ask them if they know prop makers who could have made these masks locally, or if
Do we still have one of the masks? We could bring it
Good
around
question,
and
do
see
we?
if
I think
any
Gav
of
kept the green one.
if anyone recognizes the craftsmanship.
essentially at
Um,
least ask a couple of the people in the theater.
does Gav produce the mask? You just say Gav had it?
Yeah, I think he kept the green one because he looted the guy, all of
Right.
his good stuff. So yeah, it's a little bent. Gav's fist print is very firmly in the middle of it.
Manchos.
Yeah, and she's like, man,
Yeah.
and she kind of holds it up and she says, this is a dramatic mask. She says, there's a comedy mask and a tragedy mask. She says, this has just been repainted. She says, these are usually used by narrators in plays.
Even ones made of metal.
She says, no, one of metal would be.
Tong tong.
Wasn't there a medal inside?
No, the ones that the little skull masks, those are the paper mache ones. These are metal and a little bit more durable, but Gav can kind of like, you think it's like tin. It's not designed to be like a serious deterrent, you know what I'm saying? But it is more permanent. But it is possible to see the paint on it and the dent from where it is not quite smiling the way it was when they met up with Gav.
That could have been painted by anyone then. It kind of throws that out the window.
She
But
says,
are
not
all of
necessarily.
these
There's only so many
masks
people
made
who
this
would.
way?
The
Suppose.
the lower ranks had the like cheap paper masks.
Yeah.
They were barely. They're something you could buy anywhere very cheaply.
This was also quite cheap.
But someone still has to make it.
Perhaps they could have been made
If we could
locally.
get back to the person who crafted these specific masks.
That is assuming it was made by a general craftsman. Is worth looking into, but a group like this would most likely make them in-house if they intended to use them regularly or
Indeed.
even in one time. Secret societies do not last long by going to general merchant on the street and, hey, I need 2,000 very distinctive half skull masks. Ask no questions.
That is a good point.
It is true.
I just thought it might be.
No,
It's
it's
like
still
the-
worth looking into. They may be that stupid. I would like them to be that stupid.
That would make things a little easier.
They are certainly that brazen. It means attacking all of that. All of the stuff was just in broad daylight.
They chased after you in broad daylight.
They clearly have no desire to remain
I
particularly hidden.
I find it challenging to believe that they are that smart.
We do
This-
own a theater now.
Yes,
Indeed.
so we have
We have
people
a
we can
cover
ask.
story to get these masks.
The,
Yes,
the thing to
So-
consider
that's a good
is
idea.
that they may not be stupid. If they had succeeded, if they had killed this man, claimed the letters, got his coat, and vanished, that would have been it. People would have wondered for a bit about the masks and the murders, maybe, but that would have been the end of it in a city like this.
But if they were smart, wouldn't they
Indeed.
have tried to see
Hmm.
where Hans was running
That
instead of chasing him down in broad daylight with a town?
they may not have.
This is
You-
Freiburg. You're forgetting a week.
Yeah.
Weird things happen all the time. I fight monsters made of tentacles.
Again, if Hans managed to run away from them, how were they going to follow him? If he got away enough that they were no longer a threat, there's no way they could have kept up with him to continue to observe him. Their only chance at the time was to run him down, stab him to death in broad daylight if need be, claim letter, and then once again just vanish. Two more
Forgetting
corpses,
that is
nobody
the
knows.
usual here.
Yes. So
Every other
that's
day.
Sadly.
so Hans was lucky and very fast apparently.
There are very much in the experience of Gav and Rosa who've been here and who've been here for some time. You've seen more than one public execution, you know what I'm saying? And generally speaking, it kind of goes in the way of like, if everybody was like, yeah, that guy was an asshole, then nothing comes of it. And if it was like, that's a personal friend of mine or whatnot, then it tends to be something where they get guards or swordsmen involved. Justice is usually at the hands of court.
And the other important thing to understand with a group like this is for something like reclaiming this letter, which could start off a civil war, that could start
That could
Did he
cause
freeze for
the
anyone
Florins
else?
to just freeze in place. It's very dangerous.
He was-
Leonard, are you all right?
Is he okay?
I believe it was too much to talk about.
I would like to. Is there
We'll-
a way
we'll
I
move
can
on.
like spark?
try to wait.
Try to wake him up.
I will say,
Clear.
what if we
I'm sorry.
broke me?
If it's not back Kyle or Jacob doing it, it's usually me.
For me,
Yeah,
it's been me a lot.
For
We've been talking for a
continuity's sake-
long time. We should all go and get something to eat.
There he is.
There
back.
it is. Okay.
Yay!
Sorry about
Are
that.
we? And we're all in different places now, right? Or
Oh.
did
Are we?
that get fixed?
Oh my goodness, back Kyle is now Runa.
Kevin's empty chair
And
stole my
Kevin's
spot.
chair is now
Okay.
Good.
Everybody in
And you are now
everybody in
the
chat
bear.
will be corrected in a moment, but for now,
Bear with us.
okay.
Yes. Anyway, what Len was trying to say was, it would be worth it to burn the entire cell or group.
The look, bombastic
this letter.
side eye.
As always, many thanks go out to our amazing producer Kevin for
Who's unexpectedly on screen, which I'm sure he's happy about. All right.
So everyone got that.
That's
That's beautiful. I love it here.
okay.
Oh, I just wasn't here.
we are professionals.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, professionals.
So, Runa, or not Runa, Rosa. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm the one that did it this time.
And the one it happened last time, it's because we did a funky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did that on purpose. Rosa kind of realizing, okay, we have a couple things here. So who would mind I think it is called a breaking up to get everybody or all of these things working together.
Runa looks at Rosa like, you know the word, don't you?
To try
But like
and-
not in like a dickhead way, but in like a, come on, you've got this. Don't be shy. I promised I'd protect you. Don't be shy.
Well, I do not know what part I am to play in this. I know there's going to be a book translated, which is
A
Miss
book
Proust.
gotten. I have somebody at the church, and she points to the one where Padre, I can't remember the character's name.
The Father Siosa or Cardinal Siosa.
Cardinal Siosa. Where Padre Siosa is, and I
So-
can talk to him if somebody goes with me.
I could. I feel that
This is why you're not allowed to read chat, Sarah.
get out of there.
Get out of the chat.
I feel that looking for this man isn't the top priority, but I would like to get to it soon. So I can come with you.
So I'm
Well,
hearing
I can-
church break-in.
And then or I can go and you can focus on finding this man.
I feel that me going into a church might be a bad idea. Look at
Very
me.
good.
See, it
You are
is
an
already
attractive
going.
woman. What is problem?
It's
I
already
am covered in runes, Len.
Oh, I thought those were tattoos.
Even so, they look more like brands. I fear that the church might.
Oh,
choose.
does the church still have that thing about tattoos?
It
Can
is
set them
already
off.
going to be an issue that it is me going in. I was hoping to get either Arthur or Hans to go with me.
I could
I see.
accompany you. I am
I see how it is. It's fine.
familiar
Didn't want to
enough
go
with
anyway.
the workings of the
It,
church.
I believe you might be better taking care of helping Runa and find the man.
Oh, okay. Can do that too. Yes. Mhm.
Do you want me to get people heavily drunk, or do you want me to beat my way through to get a book? It's up to you guys.
Should not attack anyone. Getting drunk does not really help at this point
No.
either, but you
But
can do
Oh,
that
no,
if
the
you
helping
drunk-
with the book might help.
All right. Well, you said you wanted Archer or Hans. Do you want both of us or just one of us?
Both of you is
I
even
think
better.
Hans might be able to help me because if he's an Eisen,
See,
Len, you've just recently arrived.
True.
I am not
Gav,
familiar with Eisen.
you are from Eisen. See?
The city is my home.
Okay,
Runa then should go with Gav.
okay.
Seems like
Okay, just for my clarification, which person are you looking for?
The cloaked man, but she is very oh, actually,
spooky guy
I'm
from the
still
vision.
unsure if it is a good idea for me to look in on him. He can look right back at me.
Tell us
Do
what
not be
I-
on toilet when you look then. I don't.
I'm
Oops.
unsure that it is safe for me to do so.
I am unfamiliar with the workings of these things, but perhaps the best case would be to just to perhaps spy in on him in a nondescript place, either perhaps in a room with no distinctive features, somewhere that is hard to identify.
Miss Probst, do you know any place like this?
It's barren room without much description.
Yes.
Um,
Of that, yeah.
you can if I'll give you the key to the suggestion box.
Okay.
All right, so I have activities for Runa and Gav, and I have activities for Rosa and Hans. What are Len and Arthur up to?
I will go where pointed. Otherwise, I'm going to go and gather some information, just the general sort of. So we need to find out who these masked people are.
See.
Yeah.
believe so.
Can I borrow that mask? I'm just gonna go
I would
crowd the bars.
Oh,
You would be surprised how easily people talk.
Do
to ask
especially to
around.
somebody friendly and garrulous who is buying them drinks.
Does anyone have a good amount of wits? You're off somewhere else. Len, do you want to join our team?
Sure. Then we'll go. If someone
And,
objects, will be plenty of meat in the way.
Arthur, then I guess you are with us. See?
All right. Sounds fun.
Split the
Okay.
party. Never goes wrong.
let's go.
I got two burly men with me.
The meat
the lightning thrower and the two like football players. You guys will probably be all right.
Except I do not have sight when I do this. So I'm specifically looking in on them.
That's amazing. You got bodyguards for that. That's
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
You got two bouncers.
Yeah. Hype.
Excuse me, Miss Runa is not signing autographs. Not signing autographs. Move
No
aside.
autograph. No autograph. Go away. Come back tomorrow.
All right.
She also doesn't have a pen. The only thing that she keeps on her, because Vesson have a weird thing with Gilder, it's literally her dagger. That's all she's got. And the clothes on her body.
Has a pen and ink and paper, then is prepared for these things.
All
I
right.
have a notepad.
So we'll split off. Runa gets the key to the suggestion box, which is located behind City Hall. She says you might want to make sure that none of the city guard are watching you go in there. They seem to take personally anybody who does.
All right. Sounds good. Do we get back down the same way we came up?
You can take the stairs also. It's much more unnerving going down than up.
All right. Stairs will do. I'm still working on getting my muscle back.
Is there a railing
Like day.
on the stairs?
There is not a railing.
Damn it! There goes that plan.
Um, Also, I should mention that the stairs inside of the thing are of human construction, and there are some missing and some shaky sections.
This tower's old.
Well, I don't
Going-
think
I
any
climbed a
of us.
mountain. I think
Going
these
back
stairs
down.
should be okay.
I'm
I
just
was gonna
saying
say, I
there's a
don't
few
think
parts where you got to hop. And it's a
anybody
little
but
unnerving.
Gav would know that that is the case. So this is going to be a fun surprise for Hope.
Runa's gonna link arms with one of the big men.
It's not wide enough.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, she's gonna go in front.
Okay.
She
There's
can
not
take
actually
it if
rolls
she
to get
eats
that
shit.
down. It's just
It'll be
occasionally
fine.
nerve wracking.
Okay.
It's a little bit stressful.
Hop.
Okay, so Rosa and Hans and Arthur, what is the plan? Are you going to the cathedral itself? Are you going to like the area around it?
I'm gonna go around it again since that's where he was the first time,
Um,
and then talk to him, and because he knows me the best, honestly.
all right.
Do you want
it's-
to talk to him, or I mean, we in Innismore have a very proud tradition with our Catholics. I mean, our religious folk.
I have history with Padre Siosa.
Oh, then fantastic. I was just going to say, Father, hello, mind coming with me for a drink down to the pub? And that wasn't going to work out well. So you know.
So the
Ravishing Runa.
I love it.
so the area that you're at is the cathedral that's just like a little bit northeast of the market where the actual like attack was and everything. Across from the cathedral is also like a domicile area that like the priests and clergy and also like clerical staff who work in the cathedral all live. And a few others who are allowed to like rent there. When Hans first arrived, Gertrude kind of like it was an area that he could have potentially like stayed at, but Gertrude was like, no, they have many rules for people who have to stay there. You don't want to stay there.
My lodgings already had some time, don't I?
And kind of in traveling around that area, Hans definitely notices that one of the rules seems to be that if you're like in your 18, 19, 20s and you're female and you're attractive, you get preferential staying there. Doesn't seem to be quite as virtue driven as Gertrude suggested.
Runa is quite pretty, although she has no stats in it.
But the three of you are definitely kind of, you know, like moving through the area. Most of it's like Croic stuff. The only one who seems to be the sourest man in this area is Father Wessels. He is the normal father for the cathedral.
Does he deal with nuclear, or is it just
no? He looks a bit like a if a toad was anthropomorphized into human form. Like if Disney did that, you know what I'm saying? Like the aftermath, so that you'd have that kind of like, oh, that was clearly like you know, the transformed toad. How in Beauty and the Beast, like all of the candlesticks and plates and everything, like you could still tell who they were afterwards. He looks like the aftermath of like a witch's spell wearing off. And just sort of like visibly angry and staring at the area where like Father Siosa or Cardinal Siosa is. Cardinal Siosa is dressed like a father, and nobody who seems to interact with him seems to realize that he's of more prominence within the church. And he's like standing in a like this intersection near the cathedral, handing out flyers, making invitations. Like it's sort of like it's a grand recruitment drive of some kind that he's doing. Does that make sense? And as you pause and kind of listen for a while, you realize that he's looking for people to serve as kind of like ad hoc guides and guards for the expected turnout for Mass on Sunday, which is not normal. Like normal, it's just whoever shows up. It's a huge cathedral. So like the idea that they're actually like setting up was setting up all this is like unbelievable. Does that make sense? And then Rosa and Hans have a bit more context for it. Actually, Arthur's been here for a while, so he, you know, the thing about this mass is that he's promising a meal to everyone who comes. And he's sending people with flyers out into the camps.
And
All right. So
Scarred, have you heard the description of like the area outside of the city?
not as much as I should.
Okay, so the population of Freiburg itself is 600,000. The population of I'm looking up the name again real quick. Verzweiflung, the tent encampment that surrounds it, is 200,000. People who are homeless, people who are looking for food, like there's no streets, there's no sewage, there's very few rules. Does that make sense? The word Verzweiflung literally translates to despair because Eisen holds no punches. So, so the fact that he's inviting 200,000 people effectively to get a meal, if it's not controlled, it will be chaos.
That'll make some sense.
I keep doing this. It does not sit right with me. I don't like it.
He's trying to do the right thing. He's just
It is good that he's feeding them. I've seen how truly abysmal it is there, but it feels dishonest. I don't
he
know.
doesn't understand, I bet.
Perhaps not.
He's the Padre Siosa is a good man. He would not be doing this on purpose to hurt people.
No, it would not be to harm. I think it is just there's the underlying motives a little bit. It just makes my spine feel a little bit strange. Shiver.
Let us talk. And Rose is gonna walk right up to him. Padre Siosa.
Kind of turns and he, for a moment, you see he almost like reflexively calls you the wrong name. And then kind of like pauses and he like, Rosa, he says, so good to see you again.
Grazie, Padre. Let me introduce you to my work associates. This is Hans and Arthur.
So for description, Padre Siosa is I have a picture of him as well. He's an older man in like late 50s, early 60s, which is definitely like an endeavor in and of itself in this time period. He's balding, he's got kind of like the hair that he does have has kind of like a Doc Brown vibe to it. And he's a cardinal, but he's dressed entirely in just the normal like brown robes of a father that you would expect to see on the street. And he like takes both your hands. He's also like 5'5", you know what I'm saying, and probably weighs like 100 pounds soaking wet.
I see that you are a man that prefers the less ostentatious things.
He says, hey, the church has long been known, he says, for its ostentation, but in some places and in some times, he says, such things are a waste. He says, this is a place where the robes of a cardinal can feed a lot of bellies.
I appreciate that.
So too can the promised investments from merchant princes. He says, a great deal of coin has gone to purchasing a great deal of food, he says, and it will continue to do so every Sunday for as long as I am capable of calling in the favors I need to. He says, that said, he kind of puts his hand on Rosa's shoulder. He says, we could use some help.
I understand it. You know I'm not very good at that.
He says, we just need people he says, willing to help keep the peace during all of it. Says there are going to be guards, he says, who are offended by the presence of so many poor in the city. It says, and we will need those with stout hearts, he says, to make sure that all is kept peaceful.
If there is
We-
need, I can offer assistance in this time. It is. I've
We
seen
might-
the state of the Venezuela.
Can no, it's probably too far. Never mind.
Well, Cardinal, where I come from, we have a little thing we like to call the exchanging of favors.
Afraid all I can offer in return for this is a meal.
Oh no, I'd be perfectly happy with that. But we had something more specific in mind.
He kind of
Really
like
getting to the
raises an
point.
eyebrow.
Sorry.
He raises an eyebrow. It kind of like looks between like Rosa and Arthur, like see if Rosa's comfortable with Arthur speaking on behalf at the moment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We were informed
step on your
that
toes, sorry.
the book of La Signora Lorenzo is in the church.
That is not a thing to speak to me about on the street. He says, and I am not a member of the Inquisition, he says, so I have no personal access to the knowledge of where such a book would be hidden and locked away. He says,
Well-
or the rotation of its guards and how most of them will be drawn away during the course of the feasting in order to keep the peace of the cathedral itself. I could certainly never turn any of that information over to you.
It is, I mean, of course, we would not ask you to. We would not ask you to.
Oh, we
besmirch your
wouldn't
honor,
ask a man of the we
such
wouldn't
as
ask a
that.
man of the cloth to do anything like that. But
Of
just so
course
we can
not.
all keep the secret safe, what is it particularly we shouldn't be knowing?
He says, oh, I couldn't possibly say. He says, because there are ears everywhere, particularly close enough that they could overhear such a thing. He says, and then he says, the very integrity, he says, of my status as a man of the cloth, he says, would be in question.
Indeed.
So,
Understood. Would you mind
the specific
doing
phrase
this
of
kind
like
of
within the
conversation?
ears, just as like the specific phrase of like within the ears means that the cathedral itself is out. It's not there because nobody at the cathedral could overhear what you're saying. He's standing fairly close to a small collection of buildings that is exactly the kind of place that they would probably hide something of that nature. Does that make sense?
Oh,
Rose's
to understand.
just trying not to laugh. I love it.
I understand very well. Well, Cardinal. Well, if you ever find yourself in the area of me, please be sure to come over and ask for a drink. Absolutely love to pick the brain of a man who's so stout and firm in his beliefs as to not share anything.
I am quite firm, he says, that the Inquisition has overstepped its charter. He says, but to publicly, he says, stand against them, he says,
of course not. We
would
wouldn't
raise so many
dream of
questions.
Of course not.
He kind of smiles. He says, well, he says, to publicly stand against them before the time is right to do so. He says, there is a day they will be called to account for the things that they have done.
One can only hope, isn't it?
He says, but it
Thank
will
you
not
so
be this
much.
mass. This mass, there are more important things to attend to, like the feeding of the hungry.
Absolutely.
Agreed, Padre. Thank you.
And for the information you haven't given, we'd be happy to not give any assistance.
He says,
That sounded
all I
wrong
ask,
the way I meant to say.
all I ask, he says, is some steady minds, he says, and some firm shoulders this Sunday, or is over the mass, he says, and in return, he says, you can expect, he says, the same honest meal they'll all be getting.
Ah, wonderful, Father. Cardinal, sorry.
He says, father is preferable for the moment. He says, there are men, he says, sent by the Inquisition, he says, who would very much like to make sure there are no cardinals in Freiburg.
Understood,
Yes,
Father.
Padre.
Yes.
He kind of smiles and says, Theus go with you all. I have some more followers, he says, to find. He says, more volunteers to round up. To kind of,
With you as well.
it's like down the street. It's like, you there, you have great shoulders. Just
Arthur does turn over to Rosa and quickly go, I'm sorry if I stepped on your toes in any way, shape, or form. Just meant to.
He knows me for a long time.
Well, we all love someone that well, it's always nice when you have someone that's known you for a long time. I only have Uncle Jack. I haven't seen him for
I would say
a while.
it is good to see him, but from when I know him is not a good time.
Well, it's not always the present, it's not always the past circumstances that should endeavor to change how we see the current circumstances and just enjoy the fact that sometimes, even in the worst of times, we can see the people that bring us even a modicum of joy is the way that we should be trying to live our lives. To deny ourselves that, I just think it's rather
So it
foolhardy.
sounds like
Good point.
we may need to talk to the others to get a better plan.
Yes. Did we at all discuss where we were going to meet up after this?
The theater.
Oh, fantastic. Quick question for the both of you. Do either of you have dietary restrictions? I'm just going to bring some food. We have been at this for a while and I am hungry.
There's it is much like many of the other Eisen. If there is food to be eaten, I shall partake.
you guys are just like north right now of like the market that where Hans had been earlier, and somebody tried to kill him, or well, he ran away from. But it is a market known for both street performances, which you guys have like masks and that kind of thing to like look into and see if anything. And as well, it also has an abundance of food for people. Just kind of like the whole point is like walk around, watch people doing stuff, and be entertained. It's the TV of the era.
Ah, wonderful. I didn't realize we walked into the entertainment district.
There's plenty of food to be had around here. Plenty. I can show you all of my favorites if you like. There's recommend many good things.
I would be thrilled by that, Hans. I cannot. Oh, and Rosa, come with us. We should all enjoy a nice jovial piece of thing while we divulge and
Piece of
learn
thing.
other things. Well, we should all have
Oh.
piece of things.
All right.
Rosa, I would like a keen senses and wits roll from you.
Okay.
Oh.
What?
Oh.
What? Keen
Like
senses.
there's a
I don't
magic
have
thing.
keen senses.
I mention keen senses so that people understand it's like perception driven.
Okay, so 3.
If you have it, great. If you don't,
I don't. 3, keep 3. Let's go. 11. Oh,
It's better than lower than an 11.
true.
you
Got a 1 though.
you don't have much context for it, but you do see that they're like as you guys are like walking to the area, you see a woman that like she's working at an easel, you know what I'm saying? It looks like she's kind of doing some painting or drawing or whatnot, and she kind of like sees Hans and her eyes widen a little bit, and then she turns beet red and she just kind of like plucks the painting she's working off on the easel up and she just starts walking away.
And do you know that woman? And
Do
Rosa
I?
just
Did
points her
Gertrude try
right
to
out,
Is
like,
this-
set you up with that woman?
Is this someone that Gertrude has tried to set me up with?
Go ahead and I'll give you a wits roll to recognize her.
Okay.
I feel like she's seen you naked, mate. I mean, turning that shade of red.
17. Not bad.
Her face looks familiar, but you don't think that Gertrude introduced you.
She does look. Who is that? I swear I've seen her before.
Should we introduce ourselves?
She's scurrying away. She's like very clearly trying to not be where Hans is.
Like a
It
mouse.
is perhaps not.
Chasers!
Perhaps
He's
it is-
back!
May have unnerved her somehow. I'm not sure. Oh, that aside, over here. Immediately walk over to one of the carts and
All right, I'm going to now cut over to Runa, Edlin, and Gav. So, the suggestion box is built behind the city hall, and it's actually like on the docks. The idea of it is that it's a little tiny building and room that's accessible both from the water side and from the land side. And it is exactly what it sounds like. It is a suggestion box where people can go in and write suggestions for the city, and the administrator will review them. The guards keep a constant watch on it because the most common suggestions relate to the guards. Gav, you have heard multiple stories of the guards of Freeburg beating hell out of anybody just for making a suggestion.
Is okay. I got this. And he sort of like motions for Runa and Len to, go write their suggestion. And he stands in front of the guard and just looks at them. You having good day today?
Yeah, the guard, he kind of like eyes Gav, he's used to being like the big guy. Does that make sense? And so he's not used to having Gav, who is larger. And his eyes kind of like glance down to the hand, the metal one and back up.
Oh, do you like it? It's very special. He like sort of goes like this.
Says that thing's creepy.
You want to know how I got it? When he says that, he's like,
yeah.
The tone of voice goes from like pretending to be friendly to not pretending to be friendly. And he just sort of leans down. Do you want to know how I got it?
Says, yeah.
Well, let me tell you. And he starts to go into the story of the verse.
I assume by now we've made it in.
Yeah, go ahead and give me a quick stealth roll.
What is?
I let you use either finesse or wits. Like finesse is just kind of the creep, 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 like tiptoe walking, and the wits is just watching where people's eyes are and making sure
Neither of them
move
are
when they're
good.
looking away. It's best I can do for you. You're getting bonuses because of Gav, so you're going to get a +10 to the roll.
16.
Oh, good lord.
Subject of, do you want to know how I got these scars? Did you eat macaroni with a knife? I ate macaroni with a knife.
16?
Number?
Did I
It's a
get number?
+10.
Oh, nothing actually rolled. Hold on.
Yeah, I'd say try that again.
Could I try that
the
again?
rolling macro or the sheet?
Oh,
Yeah, did you use the macro?
I used the sheet. My bad.
Sheet is broken.
24.
You should be rolling one more die as well, but the 24 is fine. I will say that you kind of cover for Ruth, who has for Runa, who has a moment of panic, and just kind of yank her in, like, nope.
She's
sometimes
not well
you just gotta
socialized. She's not
Scoop.
used to guards.
Yeah. He's like, I apologize for putting hands on you, but needed to get you in the room.
That's fine.
So inside of the actual suggestion box, it's literally just an iron lockbox and the room. Like there's a little drawing table, there's parchment, there's inkwells, pens.
She's gonna set herself against a wall where there's nothing else around it that can be seen if he does look back at her.
Okay.
So no map of Freiburg that says you are here.
Yeah. Specifically,
Welcome
not
to
that.
Freeburg.
And then it's just gonna lean against the wall, try to give her as much room as possible, and just be ready to, fuck shit up.
Len, stay close to me.
Okay, stay.
Scooch, scooch.
If I am anything but still, if I seem in distress, please try and get me out.
This I can do.
I don't know what this man is capable of, but I know he has been capable of looking back at me and touching me.
do not like the way that was phrased.
He pushed me.
Pushed
he
you
pushed
like
me.
back into your body, or
Essentially, yes. It's one of the last things I remember before waking up here.
okay. I have ways. I would wake you up.
Thank you.
Do what you must.
Can I first invoke solitude so that can I carve it and kind of hold that action because it adds 2 unkept dice to resolve tests?
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
You have
so
time?
She's first going to carve her solitude rune, which is actually I think on this side. If I remember correctly. I believe it's actually
So-
it's here. The placement irrelevant. She's doing that so that when she needs it, I can have an extra 2 unkept dice to my resolve tests.
Hmm.
And
Then takes out a
then
little first aid kit that he keeps with him and puts it down.
Yeah, see carve like sparks kind of start to throw off, and unlike before where it just kind of sparked and stopped, it seems to be like continually slowly sparking as she reverses. And so go ahead and give me the roll for the first one. I think it's just a TN 15, right?
Hmm?
You have to, because you still have to cast the first rune,
yeah.
so you still have to make that roll.
So I have 3 points in it. It's a resolve roll first?
Well,
Or no,
because
for the solitude rune, I just roll for that rune, correct?
you're rolling resolve plus that rune for solitude, and then you're rolling resolve plus I think gateway for the vision.
Okay. Huh. So I have 3 in the solitude rune and 4 in resolve. 7. Is it 7 keep 7?
Keep
Um,
4 for resolve, I think.
yeah, you keep your resolve.
Okay.
So
Roll 7, keep 4.
It's a lot of numbers.
It is. 30.
so you have 2 extra unkept die on the next roll.
Okay.
Here, before we go, every raise you call, this is going to give you an additional round of observation.
Okay. But I have to roll higher to reach it, correct?
You have to roll, it's a base 20, and every 5 over 20 is a raise. So if you just
So-
want the round of observation, you can have it.
I-
If you want to call raises, then you can do.
Ideally like 2 rounds, so that would be 1 raise, so I need to get a 25.
Okay.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay, I'm bad at math, so I'm just double checking. So rolling for gateway, it's so I have so
So it should be 7
5.
keep 4 again, effectively.
Okay.
Those 2 extra. Nice.
39.
Okay. Okay.
I could have
So
done another raise and been fine.
You could have done 2 more.
Yeah.
You could have done 3 raises. Ooh.
okay. First off, I want to roll your brawn.
Okay. $14.
Give me just 1 second, please.
Yes, chef.
Okay. So you are going to take 3 dramatic wounds. but that's going to come during the course of this sort of description of what happens.
Okay, cool. I can
right.
take more than that and be fine though. So
Okay.
I should be fine. I forgot how many dramatic wounds I can take.
You see the old man that you saw before.
Yeah.
And he is not in the city, in the camp. He is like, it looks to you like he's in the middle of the wilderness. Does that make sense? You don't know the wilderness that surrounds Eisen enough to know precisely where he is, but you do know enough to know that he is in Eisen still. Does that make sense? By virtue of the sort of like, there are areas that seem to be like muddy plains and forests, but he is actually like neck deep, or he is actually like knee deep in what looks like swamp, right? And he looks different than you last saw him. You have never seen a man with like the distinctly gravid belly of a woman. Okay. He is swollen, like his stomach, but it's definitely not in the way that like somebody who had just eaten too much or was fat would be. Does that make sense? It is like the swell of somebody who is holding something inside of themselves. All right. And you see he kind of like drops to his knees and his fingers curl into the swamp water and the mud. And you can't hear the screaming through Gateway. Does that make sense? But you can see it in the arch of his back and the way his muscles tense. And then like the squirm of something that is like emerging from his robes. You see across his back through the robes, you can see a rune burning so hot and hard, it's literally burning through the robe itself.
A rune?
Does that make sense? Yes.
The labor rune.
No, the rune is Herj, which is ruin.
Oh, fuck.
Fuck.
And then you hear like a splash as something falls away and into the water, and you see the white head of a serpent emerge up and out of the water. The snake like kind of cuts through the water, and you see the snake water like around it start to turn multicolored, and you see the grass die where it touches it, and small mushrooms start to sprout up.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
And you
The
hear
robot.
him scream again, and like another like splash of another creature into the water.
I love this. Okay, for sure. Yeah.
And then you see him kind of like pause and like catch his breath, and suddenly you have like full audio. You can hear the like hiss of the serpents, and you can hear the rustle of his robes as he turns, and you hear him say, "Didn't you learn your lesson before?" And he touches, and you just like, that's the memory that you have. And what Len sees is Bruno like watching intently and leaning closer and closer, and then slam off of the side of the suggestion box and like crumple to the ground.
Nope. We're gonna. Does she
Disconnect
look
call.
obviously wounded? Or...
Yeah, there is Runa, pick where in your body he touched, and that has a permanently burned hair's rune now.
I'd say like back right shoulder.
Okay.
Right. Can he see or like smell burning skin or?
Yeah, there's like the sizzle of skin, like where the rune has burned itself into place. Give yourself 1 dot of ruin for free.
Okay.
Hooray for that! But Len is going to very carefully lay her out on her stomach and be like, "Please excuse," and pull the shirt just aside enough to see.
She's wearing kind of like a corseted top. It kind of has it has like tank top straps, basically.
Tank top straps. So can he see the mark
visible.
without? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well,
because her hair's also up, so it's completely visible because she has a rune on the other side, like kind of directly.
This is odd. He's probe it just to make sure that it's not bleeding or anything. Slap a patch over it, little
Um,
bandage.
give me a wits and I think there's like a healer or doctor skill. I don't remember what I named it.
It's healer. There.
Okay, so actually,
have it?
it's
I do not.
Okay.
I have commoner, so like the closest would be apothecary. He knows enough to do battlefield medicine, but he's not going to be diagnosing anything.
I will still give you a raw wits roll to do an analysis, like to get
Okay.
some analytical information.
Can I edit where I have this rune because I didn't realize that it was gonna become a thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
And on the back, very inconvenient.
How are you gonna carve that?
So I have the gateway rune like right here. I'm gonna say that this one is on her like right shoulder, like sort of
Okay.
towards the back, but like it would be more convenient to instead of
Yeah. All right, so. Oh, not bad. 14.
Okay. What you can tell is that, like, so all of the other runes that Runa has on her body are by virtue of like carving and like over time. Does that make sense? Like they've reached the depth that they've reached, and they've kind of like it's like a bit of like scarification, a bit of like brands by the look of it, but that's actually just the effect of like the lightning sort of heating up the area around the flesh. This has been done in a moment, and it looks as deep as some of the others. Like,
Yeah.
and the others represent weeks or months of practice.
Well, he's gonna patch it, maybe do a quick sketch of it with the free paper, tuck it away, and then try and wake her up gently. Luna, it's please wake up. I can
I'd
do
assume
mouth
it's
to mouth, but that would
unsuccessful
be
because
awkward.
she's taking 3 dramatic wounds.
Oh dear.
But I don't dictate that.
Okay. So,
3, and then the fireman's carry.
I know you guys got a little bit of a shorter time than the other side did, but I think that's a good place for us to drop the curtain for tonight.
Okay.
Is getting her to a safe place.
Meanwhile, Gav and the guard.
I
"Did
still
you hear
in it?"
something?
Yeah, are we ending with her still in with them still in the
No,
sketch
we're gonna,
box?
so
Okay.
like Gav, you hear a thump, you know what I'm saying? The guard hears a thump and he sees like um Len emerging with Runa in his arms. Gav, you 100% know the protocol right now is to just give him a couple gilder and he's gonna disappear.
Yeah. You didn't see anything. I need.
He says, I wouldn't know what I saw if I did.
Yeah. he gives him the gilder with the Cernith hand, just to be.
So they like deflated.
And I guess he'll take her to the playhouse.
Yep.
And get her
So
set.
I am now out of.
So the dramatic wounds, like one of them is from the actual wound itself. The other two is from how forcefully you hit the wall.
Okay.
I know we're kind of have some people who are needing to go.
Yeah.
So
Runa is in a sweat.
yeah,
unconscious and in a sweat.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the three of you. You're going to do our cold open next time. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? We'll pick up in the theater.
Nice.
Runa, you get to go 2 for 2. Yay! But that is where we will call it for tonight, so that we can get some people off to bed and
Yep.
out of their gaming chairs.
I got a free rune.
Hooray!
I wouldn't call it free.
Certainly
You
not.
paid and
I
paid.
didn't have to pay experience.
It is ruined.
Ugh. It's one I would have taken
That's fair.
eventually in the future.
Scary ruin.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody who tuned in tonight. I had a great time running everything. It was very like players getting to role play with each other, and I got to sit back through a lot of it, and I very much enjoyed that. So
And nobody threw Arthur off the top of the tower, so wins all around.
No matter how many
Yet.
repeated attempts.
all right. So this is the part where my words always start to like not work so well. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And we're in a very rough place for a lot of people in the world right now. So if you have the headspace to be kind to them, then be kind to them. And if you can't bring yourself to do that, then be nice to them.
Yep.
Thank you very much. And we will see you next Sunday.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Everybody.